We'll continue at the start of the second saga in Chapter 166 after the events in Chapter 165, where Okarun and his companions defeated Fairy Tail Card with help from Count Saint-Germain. In an unexpected turn of events, it turns out that Count Saint-Germain was a collector of paranormal items, and he was stealing the powers of all the paranormal beings he encountered. On the other hand, Momo became tiny after getting out of the cursed box, while Turbo Granny took back her curse from Okarun because her 2 family jewels had been retrieved and decided to leave Seiko's household. Now that we've had a quick refresher, let's get started. The story began with a tiny Momo eating a grain of rice, and she said that what she was eating here felt like a mochi ball. She was disappointed because she knew she would get full after just 2 grains, while Vamola offered her some meat, to which she declined but complained that she really wanted ramen. Because of her request, Seiko said that if she wanted, she would make some for her, but Momo refused again because she said if she ate even 2 centimeters of noodles, she would get full right away, and she just asked Vamola for water instead. Vamola handed her a small manual water pump, and she pointed it at her mouth. She told Vamola to pump it gently, but Vamola still squeezed too hard and too much water came out, almost drowning Momo, and she reminded Vamola because she had squeezed too much. Momo coughed because of this and told Vamola to be careful because it was water and the surface tension of those droplets could easily drown her. Despite this, Momo looked at the tiny water droplets stuck to her body and just drank these instead. While savoring this droplet, she asked if this was what it felt like to be an astronaut, which made Vamola smile and comment that she seemed happy and having fun, but she contradicted this, saying this wasn't fun at all. Nevertheless, she started dancing while saying how lucky she was because she wouldn't need to go to school and would just sleep, but Seiko quickly objected and said she would go, which surprised and confused her. Seiko added that Momo was already behind in her studies and told her that just because she became small doesn't mean she can skip her classes. Momo commented here about what kind of old fart her grandmother was, while Vamola offered if she wanted to be carried in her backpack, so she bluntly said she wasn't a toy, while Seiko added not to let others see her because it would cause panic. So she replied then don't make her go to school, but when Seiko asked for her report card, her mood quickly changed and she agreed to what she wanted. In the next scene, while Vamola and Momo were walking, they ran into Ira and Okarun, and when the 2 saw Momo's situation, Ira said it was super funny that she was going to school, which annoyed Momo, and she shouted that she wasn't a freak show, while Okarun was asking if she was really going to school in this state. So she irritably explained that her grandmother wouldn't stop talking about her studies. She said she didn't want others to see her, so they should stop drawing attention to her, and she started shooing them away like dogs, while Okarun agreed with her and said it would indeed be a problem if anyone saw her here. After a while, we moved to their classroom where Vamola was smiling while listening. Okarun was obviously nervous because of Momo, and Momo was in the middle of Vamola's notebook, taking notes on a small piece of paper. Okarun tried to call Momo, but she didn't turn around, so he called her again, and when she turned, she wondered why. So he explained that she was too exposed out in the open, which made Momo ask if really, so he added that her voice was too loud. Vamola made a side comment that she made Momo's stationery herself, so Momo pointed out that all she did was cut up a notebook, while Okarun nervously told her to lower her voice, and Vamola should try to hide Momo better. So Momo objected and said that if Vamola did that, she would have trouble reading what was being taught to them, which made Okarun shout if she didn't understand her situation. Suddenly Momo thought of something and started calling their classmate who was beside Vamola, which worried Okarun, and he tried to stop her, but it was too late and she had already gotten the boy's attention, but he just looked at Vamola while Okarun was left speechless at the side. The boy then tried to act cute with Vamola and asked if she was the one talking to him. To which Vamola bluntly said no. So the boy just apologized and went back to writing, while Momo bragged to Okarun if he saw that and that the boy didn't even notice her, to which Okarun whisperingly replied for her to stop and asked what she thought would happen if someone really saw her. Momo happily said that perhaps this was what it felt like to be a fairy, and explained that this was a well-known paranormal thing about legends of fairies, which made Okarun think about what she meant. Momo said that in fact, they were everywhere, and people just didn't see them because they weren't trying to look, and if you really think about it, if they squinted their eyes and looked carefully at their surroundings, they could see them. She added that a long time ago, people in that time could see them, but people in the present had almost lost the ability to do so, or at least that's what she heard from others. Because of this, Okarun shouted that Momo was right and that was the reason, which made Momo wonder what he was referring to. Their teacher heard him and shouted asking why he was making noise, so Okarun quickly bowed and apologized, while Momo laughed at him because he got scolded, so Okarun whispered that it was her fault. After that, Okarun whispered to Momo that they should go to the library after their class, to which Momo agreed. In the next scene, the whole gang went to the library, and Okarun asked his companions to look for books about fairies, and any book would do as long as it was about fairies. Rin found a book and started reading it while Vamola listened to her, and she said that fairies often appeared in artwork with mythological motifs, and according to this book, socially vulnerable people were depicted as small, forgettable presences. While in Okarun's chest pocket, Momo apologized to all of them because they had to do this for her. So Okarun replied not to say that and that she was facing something, so it was natural for them to help her. After that topic, Okarun brought up that it seemed Turbo Granny really hadn't shown herself again after leaving them, to which Momo agreed. Momo thought that she would get hungry and return, but that didn't happen, and she said her grandmother was acting tough, but in truth, she missed Turbo Granny, and even she missed that cat too, which Okarun felt the same way. She added that they couldn't use Turbo Granny's power anymore either, so Okarun pointed out that, well, it was a curse after all. Momo asked if he had gotten his family jewels back and if he had checked them, to which Okarun agreed and said how easily she had stuffed them in, which made Momo laugh. He suddenly called Momo and shyly reminded her about his confession before they separated inside the cursed box, which made Momo start to feel giddy and flustered. She said to wait and not to say it again yet, and for Okarun to wait until she returned to normal, to which Okarun nervously and blushingly replied that he understood. Momo added, but he shouldn't think about cheating either, which made Okarun sweat more and ask what she meant by cheating when they weren't even dating yet. So Momo got angry and shouted that if that was the case, then he was planning to cheat, which made Okarun turn in the other direction while answering that wasn't what he meant. So Momo shouted again for him not to look away. Momo climbed onto his shoulder and started pulling his ear while saying he should look at her when talking to her, so he tried to stop her because it was ticklish. Suddenly something caught Momo's attention at the bookshelves, and when she looked carefully, she saw a small creature peeking from the other side of the bookshelf, and it seemed to be observing them.